Good morning, boys and girls. Today is day 6, and today we are going to compare and contrast characters. I just want to remind you that once you have viewed this video, please press the button Turn In. And by doing that, that tells Ms. Stewart and I that you have viewed the video. I also want to remind you that if you're having a hard time downloading this video, you can always click on the YouTube link that I include in my assignment, and it's the same exact video as if you were viewing it from Google Classroom. So today we are going to compare and contrast characters. Characters are people or animals in a story. And characters in a story, they affect one another by their actions and their words. So for us as readers to better understand how characters interact in a story, we first have to take a look at the individual character. So we're going to do this by 3 steps. 1, we're going to list the characters of 2 characters. We're going to list their thoughts and their actions. Once we've made our list, we're going to go to step number 2. We're going to ask ourselves 2 questions. How are these characters alike? And how are these characters different? And then number 3, what does the way the characters interact tell you about their relationships? So, for an example, maybe 2 characters, the way they interact tells us as readers that they are not best friends. Or maybe by their actions and their words, we can quickly realize that, yes, they are best friends. So today we are going to compare and contrast 2 characters. And before we get into our assignment, I am going to model to you how to compare and contrast characters. I am going to read Proudly, March Proudly. And all I need for you is just to listen right now. Anne listened carefully to her grandmother, Mama Frances. Everyone listened carefully to Mama Frances because the old woman was wise, strong, and had a no-nonsense attitude. She also had a huge heart. Anne, Mama Frances said, it's your first trip downtown. Don't let anyone give you what for. You hear? You keep going wherever you need to go with your head held high. Mama Frances was determined to boost her granddaughter's pride and self-confidence. Anne walked through the city. She saw sign after sign proclaiming whites only and colored section. White people glared at her as she passed them on the sidewalk. She wanted to run home crying, but Anne held her head high and walked bravely through the city streets. Finally, she was there and climbed the steps to the public library, her very own special place, where everyone was welcome. She knew that Mama Frances was right. March proudly, and you will get to where you want to go. So we are going to compare and contrast the 2 characters, Anne and Mama Frances. So the first thing I did was I made a list of their thoughts or their actions, and I only recorded 3. So for Anne, I wrote number 1. She wanted to run home crying after white people glared at her. Number 2, she held her head high and walked bravely through the city streets. And number 3, she understood Mama Frances and marched proudly. Now I did the same for Mama Frances. I wrote for number 1, Mama Frances' wise, strong, no-nonsense attitude. Number 2, she advised Anne to stay strong. And number 3, she was determined to boost her granddaughter's pride and self-confidence. Now, step number 2, I'm going to take a look at my list and I'm going to ask myself 2 questions. How are the characters alike and how are the characters different? Now, I know that Anne is unsure about herself. Unlike her grandmother's very strong. But Anne demonstrates that she's brave and proud, just like her grandmother by the end of the story. So step number 3, What does the way these characters interact tell you about their relationship? So I wrote, the relationship between Anne and her grandmother is that Anne looks to Mama Frances for support, and Mama Frances is determined to help Anne's self-confidence. Anne knows well enough to listen to Mama Frances because Mama Frances is wise and has a huge heart. At first, Anne is nervous on her own, but by being brave like her Mama Frances encouraged her to be, she begins to feel proud of herself by the end of the story. So, what we are going to do today is that we are going to go back to the story Me and My Habits, which we read yesterday. And we are going to compare and contrast two characters. Now, you can choose what two characters you want to compare and contrast. For my example, I've chose Rose and Susanna. Now, you're going to get your writer's notebook. You are going to put your name, today's date. You're going to title it Day 6, Compare and Contrast Characters. And you are going to choose your two characters. And as you can see, I made a T chart. And I wrote my first character on one side and my second character on the second side. At any time, you can freeze or pause this video as you prepare your T chart. So as I wrote right here, number 1, I'm going to list 3 either actions or thoughts about Rose, and I'm going to list 3 actions and thoughts about Susanna. Once I've listed my 3, I'm going to go to step number 2, and I am going to ask myself 2 questions. 1, how are they alike, and how are they different? And then I'm going to answer my question number 3, and that is about their relationship. And if you look real closely, I wrote a pre-sentence that you can use. The relationship between, you're going to write one character's name and the other character's name is, and then you're going to tell me about their relationship based on what you've compared and contrast about each individual character. Now, I've chose Rose and Susanna. You can choose Rose and William. You can choose Susanna and William. You can even choose her brother Joey. It's your choice. You can choose 2 characters and you're going to compare and contrast. And then you're going to take a look at their relationship. And you're going to answer number 3. And you're going to tell me what the relationship is like between the 2 characters. Once you've done that, you're going to go back to your packet and you are going to answer questions 6 through 10 for Me and My Habits. We already answered 1 through 5. Today we're answering questions 6 through 10. You're going to reread the story and you're going to answer questions 6 through 10. Number 6 says, read the following sentence. What does the word inventory mean? Number 7, you are going to choose a word to fill in the blank. Number 8, you have to cite some evidence. Don't forget, you can use my pre-sentence frames as well. According to the text, or based on what I read, I know this because the text said. So number 8, you're going to write, how does Rose's habit affect her relationship with her brother Joey? Number 9, according to Rose, how did she and Susanna become great friends? And number 10, at the end of the passage, Rose says, there's something very back and forth about my relationship to my habit. Explain why Rose says this and use evidence from the text evidence. So remember, for this question, number 10, Rose kept saying that she's ready to give it up or she's ready to keep it because it's also something safe and familiar to her. So she has this conflict within her about her old habits. So you are going to answer number 10 and you're going to give text evidence from the text. Thank you. Thank you for viewing. Bye. See you tomorrow.